Thank you, Rodney, and Pamela back down in Preysal as we continue our day in the life of, as we journey throughout the community, just exploring and looking at the beautiful sights and scenery. And, we've been told by a few persons that we've visited so far that there has been so much development and a lot of improvement in the area. Gone are the days when you had to light flambeau and when you had to walk through mud roads, and even while you still have some people living in board houses, most of them are concrete structures now and very large homes. We are here at the home of Mrs. Eleanor Baksh, and she actually did the first capsule with us in the company here now of Mr. Manzur Baksh and also Mr. Zainul Makom, to be correct. And Mr. Manzur, I'm going to be speaking to both of them during this capsule. Mr. Manzur is actually a retired principal of the Claxton-based Senior Secondary School. And we have Mr. Zainul Makum. He was a former teacher. He's retired now as well, a former teacher at Hillview College. So we're going to speak to them a little about Preysal itself. And from what I said just now, a retired principal, a former teacher, so academics was probably the basis of their achievement and all the success that I'm sure that they have seen and all the accomplishments over the years. So I want to say good morning, first of all, to Mr. Manzur, Mr. Baksh. So he's going to tell us a little about growing up in Preysal, and he was just showing me something here. We're going to talk about that in a bit, but he's going to tell us a little about growing up in Preysal and Kuva area. Good morning, Mr. Baksh.
Good morning. So very nice speaking to you all. Well, it's very periodical that we have a situation like this where the press comes to get a little opinion about the growth of this village. So we are indeed very happy for this opportunity to say a few words on what transpired in Preysal over the decades. When we were growing up, this was a very rural community. The highway was not built there yet then, and to get into Port of Spain, you had to pass through Preysal from this area, go to Freeport, and then to Chagonas in the old road. So communication was also a kind of obsolete. And but we grew up here. We attended the school here. It was the Preysal CM school, and when that was recommended for, renewal, the Preysal Government School was built in 1950. So we move on from the Preysal CM. It was then owned by Preysal CMI being Canadian Mission Indian, and to the Preysal Government School. And from there things move on. The village, there were not many houses, but within the decade of the 60s, nearly every lot, 60 to 70s, the decades, and nearly every lot on the main road here in Preysal was filled with houses, beautiful houses. This community has produced, I think, like more than any other community, a number of teachers, and many of them became principals. My brother became a school supervisor. He was a member of the Teaching Service Commission for so many years, many, many years, and that it is because of the number of teachers here, who many of them continue to reside in the district here, that help to uplift this district, not only in sports, not only in cricket, but also in the academia. So that the community grew because of the residents here, who because of their success in education, and we have to thank our parents for that. Many of them were illiterate, but they ensured that they send their children to school. And they ensured, even in their illiteracy, that the children studied, and many of us became teachers, lawyers, doctors, and so on. So we did not abdicate our responsibility to the village. We worked very hard with the youngsters that came in, and that is why today we are in celebration that Dinesh Ramdin is now a member who grew up here. His parents, the right up the road there, is now the captain of the West Indies cricket team. So we feel very proud of simple achievements growing up in a rural community, and we continue to reside here. and we continue to work, especially with the young ones.
All right, and Mr. Baksh, definitely having, as he mentioned, a lot of teachers in the community and playing such an important role in the youth, especially in this Preysal community, and which is something probably that is lacking in other areas as well, where you have people retiring and being at home and still willing to give of their time towards the children, towards the youth of the community. I'm going to bring in Mr. Malcolm. As I mentioned, he was the former teacher at Hillview College, and also he's going to give us a little history about his experience in Preysal, and while he would have gone out all the way to Hillview El Dorado to teach. I mean, definitely Preysal is home, and Preysal is where he grew up. Welcome, Mr. Malcolm.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Preysal holds some very interesting tales. I would say tales because, as a youngster, I used to hear all sorts of things about Preysal. I myself have experienced a lot. Actually, I went to school at Preysal Government. I might have spent a few months at Preysal CM, but I went to school at Preysal Government. And I believe I was the first Preysalian to win a government exhibition in the year when government gave 125 exhibitions. It was in 1952. And I went from here to Naparima College, taught at Naparima College, then transferred to Hillview College. So I've had quite some years in the teaching service. In all, I probably have about 48 years. I did 6 years remedial work too. And apart from teaching, a lot of people would know me as a cricket umpire. I was a cricket umpire. I became a first class umpire in 1983. And umpired for 23 years as a umpire for the West Indies. I remember my first job was actually teaching at Preysal Government in 1960. I taught for 2.5 years, then went on to teach at Naparima College, and then from there I went on to Hillview College, where I retired in 2001. So in Preysal here, I know as far as the religion and culture is concerned, I know Mr. Baksh himself in I Know Domain, in his book, has written so well about the religion. He has given so many good historical tidbits about religion. Actually, now in Preysal we have churches, we have a mosque, we have 2 Hindu temples. We have, a lot of Christian churches, and so the people are well organized into the previous, all in 1940s, 50s, and so on. We never really had churches and so on, but people used to organize themselves to have various events. For example, the Hindus used to have, Pagwa, used to have Holi, we used to do Ramayana, and so on. But now it's well organized from the churches themselves, because the people who are running the churches, they are taking part in these things. So that I have to say Preysal is well organized now as far as religion is concerned and culture.
Right, and and as he said, religion and culture, something that I think the older heads have instilled in those coming up, and like Mr. Malcolm and Mr. Baksh, something that they've inculcated in the youth in Preysal, and maybe that's why you find so many success stories, a lot of doctors, a lot of lawyers, a lot of cricketers coming from the area. So I want to thank Mr. Baksh and Mr. Malcolm for speaking with us and telling us a little history about Preysal. And remember, log on to 103fm.net for pictures and more as we continue our day in the life of Preysal. Also like us on Facebook. And we'll be back in just a few minutes' time to bring you another capsule from Preysal.
The children.
Thanks so very much, Pamela. That's a capsule report for our ongoing series, A Day in the Life of. That capsule report brought to you courtesy Point